Hello, I welcome you back to our discussion on building a successful marriage. In our previous video, we talked about conflict potential, certain things that are likely to cause conflict in the marriage. And we said that it's very important that before you get married, you and your future partner take time to discuss, you know, some of the things, some of the differences between you, the differences in age, in education, in ethnicity, you know, and generally culture that uh, are possible, factors that will cause conflict in your marriage. It's very important. Most of the time, we rush into marriage only to find out that we are not compatible, only to find out that we don't agree on many things. And it becomes difficult once you are in it, it becomes difficult to solve the problems. Where it's always said in the adage goes that you cannot remove black ants from yourself, from your body, while standing in the pool of ants. You have to run away from the ants before you can remove the ones that are sticking on your body. But here you are already in the marriage, you cannot run away from it. Okay, so for most people, they just stay in the pool of black ants, is consuming them, eating them up, and what happens? The marriage breaks because they're not able to manage, they're not able um, to solve their differences. They never took time even to observe those differences, let alone learn how to solve them. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about one big conflict potential, you know, and that is, the things we expect from our spouses, what I call unreasonable expectations. Unreasonable expectations from your future spouse. You are courting, you are in courtship, you are dating, you are talking to a young woman or a young man, you want to get married to them. What do you expect from them? what do you what do you expect from your future man? What do you expect from your future woman? What I want you to understand now is that your expectations, if they are not reasonable, they constitute a conflict potential. The things that right now you are not yet married, but what is going on in your mind, your imagination, the things that you are expecting your husband to do, the things you're expecting your wife to do, if they are unreasonable, they can be factors that will cause conflict. And when I talk about conflict, simply conflict is friction, misunderstanding, between, in this case, between couples. All right. And a conflict, being a disagreement, begins with perception. I would take time to talk in details about conflict, but suffice it to say right now that conflict is a disagreement that begins with perception. It begins with one person perceiving, or to put it in simple language, thinking, perceiving, actually it's more than thinking, really observing. You are observing in you. You are perceiving in you that the other party is about to do something that will hurt your rights or your choices, okay, your interests generally. So conflict begins when one party observes or one party perceives that the other party is doing something or is about to do something that's against their interest. All right. So that's what we call intrapersonal conflict. It is in one person. Maybe the man or the woman is thinking. He sees the woman, watches the woman, maybe from what she says, from what he says, and is perceiving that this my wife or my husband has begun to do or is about to do something that would be against my own interest, some things that I care about, some values of my life. Okay, so conflict begins with perception, and it goes, it goes all along until murder. It begins with a perception, and it ends with annihilation, murder, where one party kills the other. That's how conflict is. Recently, here in the United States, a Ghanaian pastor shot the wife in Florida. He loaded his gun, drove to his wife's workplace, and shot him, not just once, several times until the wife died. And when he was picked up by the police, what did he say? It's the devil. The devil. That's what we always say. But the conflict began as a perception. It was not dealt with. It began as an intrapersonal conflict in the mind of the pastor. He didn't deal with it. Then it became an interpersonal conflict. That's to say that the wife observed also that there was something going wrong in the husband. So it ceases to be intrapersonal. It's now interpersonal, right? And then they didn't solve it. It became verbal confrontation, verbal violence. They didn't solve it. Physical violence, and now annihilation. The man went and killed the wife. All right. So I'm going to take time to delve very deep in conflict. We're going to do conflict theory as it applies to marriage. But now I just want to talk about the premarital conflict potential of unreasonable expectations. Every good marital counseling, especially premarital counseling, should include, the identification of the factors that have the potential to cause conflict in a marriage. Every good marriage premarital counseling must include the identification of the factors in the lives of both prospective couples, the factors that are likely to cause conflicts. And as you identify them, then you find out how to solve those conflicts, because there are conflict handling styles. There are good conflict handling styles, there are bad conflict handling styles. So when the conflict occurs, how do we handle? What's the best method to handle a conflict? What's the biblical way of handling a conflict? If you're not a Christian, what's the best method, best conflict handling method, right? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the expectations of men and women before they go into marriage, and some of those expectations being unreasonable cause marriage conflicts. As a marriage counselor, I develop, instruments, measuring instruments that measure compatibility, instruments that, discover conflict potential, and many other things. And one of the first exercises that I ask the counselees to do is to take a piece of paper and write down 5 things that you expect from your spouse, your future spouse. The man will write independently, they will not consult with one another. The man will write 5 things that I expect from my future wife. And the woman will also write 5 things that she expects from the future husband. So, what I've realized is that from one continent to another and from one culture to another, there are slight variations. But mostly, what remains constant is that unreasonable expectations have caused conflict, always cause conflict. No matter what continent it was that I did the research, no matter what culture it was. Unreasonable conflict potentials have always caused, unreasonable expectations have always caused conflict in marriage. So in this video, I'm going to take 3 expectations from my research, 3 of the common expectations that men have and 3 expectations of women. That is to say, before they get married, the ladies expect some things from their future husbands. The gentlemen expect some things from their future husbands. I'm going to take 3 of each and we'll talk about them. First of all, I want to start with the ladies. One of the very common expectations of ladies who are going to get married is that I want my husband to take care of me. I'm getting married so that my husband will take care of me. When I get married, my husband will take care of me. And what do they mean by take care of me? What they mean is that you provide their personal needs, their personal needs, including clothing, food, makeups, hairstyles, dress, everything. So they are expecting that when I get married, my husband will take care of me. This expectation differs in cultures. When you come to the West, like in Europe and America, it's less, in Europe and America, because the ladies have, the modern feminist movement have taught the ladies to want to be independent. They don't want to depend on a man. But if you go to Africa and Asia, and the poorer societies where the unemployment is common, many of the ladies actually depend, they want to depend on their husbands culturally. Not only in Africa, culturally, even in the Bible. In many cultures, in pre-industrial area, in the pre-industrial area, we had a lot of women looking up to their husband to provide their needs. This was simply because, the women didn't have some rights. For instance, in the pre-industrial area, women couldn't even sign a contract, even in Europe and America. Women couldn't sign a contract. Women were classified as the category of children. They are incapable of signing a contract. They are incapable of engaging in anything that has to do with covenanting or contracts. Right. So they had to depend on their husbands. Right. So in this case, the woman, since you can't sign a contract, you can't even purchase a property. A woman can't purchase land because she can't sign a contract. So what do you expect? She expects that the husband who has the right to sign a contract to buy land, the husband will buy the land, farm, do everything. She, in turn, will just be taken care of by the husband. As I've said, in the West, when the after pre-industrial, post-industrial era in the West, many things have changed. And because of the feminist movement, the women have more tendency to be independent, not to depend on their husbands to provide their needs. But when you go to Africa, even today as I speak, you go to India, you go to Malaysia, and some of the poorer societies, not every part of them, but some of the poorer societies, the women, one of their expectations is that they expect their husbands to take care of them. Now, you see, that is the responsibility of your parents. Taking care of you, buying clothes, before you get married, it's the responsibility of parents. And it's the responsibility of the parents to help their daughter to have a trade, to help their daughter either to go to school or to learn a trade that will make them independent, that will help them to work and earn their own living. Because if you go into marriage with that expectation that I'm going and my husband is going to take care of me, as many ladies do in Africa, my husband will take care of me. Now, you are going in for trouble. You see, your hair style alone costs how much? You go and do your fingernails, your toenails, the dresses you put on. You have a wide mouth. What I mean is that you have you know good things. You want the best things, and you want your husband to take care of all that. You are in for trouble. And you see, the parents also don't help. Instead of taking care of their children, instead of helping their children to become independent, investing in their, I'm talking about the ladies now, investing in their daughters to learn a trade, to go to school, to be able to work to provide their own needs, the parents push them, and you're sitting at home. You're not going, look at this guy. He's got a man who's taking care of him. You are sitting at home. Find a man to take care of you. I've had enough. I've brought you up. You are now a big girl. Find a man to take care of you. You see, so the parents, instead of giving their daughters a solid foundation on which they can stand and get married as people who can live independently of their husbands, they push their children. They don't provide those needs for their children, their daughters, and they make their daughters totally dependent on their husbands. That is one big danger. You get married with the expectation that my husband is going to take care of me, provide all my needs. What is the expectation of your husband? Does your husband have the same expectation? If this is your expectation, sit down and talk to him before you get married. Tell him, as we are going to get married, I expect you to take care of me. I expect you to buy my clothing, to pay for my hairstyles, to pay for my, doing my fingernails and buying these artificial fingernails, colors, facial makeups, and all the things. Tell him that this is what I expect from you, and hear what he will tell you. But see, most of the time we have this in our minds. We never talk about it. We go into marriage, and then the lady begins to look to the husband to provide these things, and the husband says, "No, I can't provide these things. You have to work to take care of your needs." Here is a lady. She never learned to do anything. She didn't go to school up to a level where she can get a meaningful job. She didn't go to vocational school. She didn't go and learn, some trade, because she was sitting down and expecting that when I get married, my husband will take care of me. That is one big trap, one big hurdle for successful marriage. Your marriage might not be a happy one. If it doesn't collapse, if it doesn't break down, and if you don't change, your marriage won't work. It will be a sad marriage. So don't, say that I'm going to get married so that my husband will take care of me, or I expect my husband to take care of my personal needs. Learn a trade. You are courting. You are a lady. Someone wants to get married to you. They may be rich. Yes. They may be wealthy. The man may be wealthy, but you should understand that the men, when they realize that the woman is totally dependent on them, what if he uses the money he gives to you, he uses that as an embargo, as a bargaining chip? I will not give you money to buy your clothing. I'll not buy new clothing for you. I'll not give you money to do your hair if you don't do ABC. So the man can subject you to all kinds of things and starve you if you don't do his will, even if his will is for you to do evil, for you to commit a crime for him. You will still have to do it, because if you don't do it, you have no food to eat. You have no clothes to put on. So it is important that, ladies, you don't just stay there and say, I'm going to get married and my husband will take care of me. I'm looking for a rich man to take care of me. No, he may be rich and he may be willing to take care of you. But then, are you prepared to be a house help, like a maid servant at home? Are you prepared to be a slave? If you're not prepared to be his slave, then you better learn a trade. You better learn to do something that you can use to work to provide your own needs, the basic needs, so that you don't have to depend on your husband for every little thing, even to the point of your panties and your personal. No, you have to learn a trade, go to school, find a job. Learn how to do something that will bring you some income. All right. Ladies, unreasonable expectation number 2. I expect my husband to provide for the home, including the bills and food and rent and everything. That's the responsibility of the man. And here we talk about gender role differentiations, where we say that this is what men do and this is what women do. Gender role differentiations may have applied at a certain epoch and a certain time, certain, in certain ages. But times change. Things change. Culture is dynamic. It changes. The way our grandfathers used to live, or our grandmothers, that's not the same way that today you expect your wife to live with you or your husband to live with you. So, yeah, you expect your husband to pay the rent. You expect him to pay the lights bill, the water bill, how do you call it, the internet, telephone, and everything. You expect your husband to do all that, and also put food on the table every day, put money for food. So you are prepared to cook, but he must provide the food. Now, if you have this attitude and you're going to marriage, it's going to be difficult. What do you want? You want to sit at home, or you want to work? If you are working, then why would you expect your husband to pay all the bills? If you're working and earning money, why would you expect that your husband will pay the rent, pay the electricity bill, pay the water bill, pay for telephone and internet, and at the same time provide for the food or provide food. It may be surprising you, or you may be surprised that I'm saying some of these things, but I'm a marriage counselor, and I've had to intervene in a lot of marriage conflicts that stem out of the lady thinking that, as for me, my culture is the men that pay rent. So they are earning the money and pocketing their money, and they expect the man to use all his money to pay all the bills. No, that is an unreasonable expectation. It's not reasonable. It will only lead to conflict. It will only ruin your marriage. You cannot have a beautiful marriage. You cannot have a successful marriage with that kind of expectation. If you're working, you are earning money, and your husband is working and earning money, you both contribute to taking care of the home. You share. If one is paying the rent, the other will take care of the bills, so that there will be peace at home. At least at the end of the month, each of you have something, something in your pocket that you can use to take care of your personal expenses. The woman will have something, the man will have something, but all of you meet in the middle. You meet halfway. One, you cannot say that, oh, the other will provide and I will keep my money and use it for what I want. No. So, ladies, don't say that, in my culture, in my country, it's the men that pay for the rent. They pay the rent. They put food on the table. They pay all the bills. No. Times have changed. Because fewer and fewer women want to sit at home. No matter how rich the man is, the woman would like to go out. She doesn't want to be a prisoner, just to be at home and cooking. Many of the ladies today want to go out there. They want to work. They want to earn their own income, so that their husbands don't use the provision of their needs as a bargaining chip to force them to do things that they are not supposed to do. Right? In culture, I know, like in many parts of when I was doing some of this research exercises in northern parts of West Africa, in Ivory Coast, in Ghana, in Togo, in Nigeria, in Benin, the culture is such that men think that they should have to control the women by the women totally depending on them. You see, for instance, in some cultures of in northern Ghana, women are not supposed to make a yam mound. The mounds that we make to grow yams. Women are not supposed to grow yams. It's a taboo for a woman to grow yams. A woman can grow rice, sorghum, millet, but not yams. Why? Because the yam is a commercial thing. Yams are cultivated and sold. Millet is cultivated for food. So the woman grows the crops, the food crops, and the man grows the cash crops. So that all the time, it is the man that has the money. The woman always have to depend. Can you give me some money? Can you give me money for this? Can you give me money for that? And then the man can say, no, I won't give you. If you don't do what I wish, if you don't do ABC, I won't give it to you. So they use the cash, the power of money, to control the women, to keep them subservient to themselves. Why is it a taboo for a woman to make a yam mound or to grow yams? Who said it was a taboo? Who made that? Who made that tradition? Of course, it's the men that made those traditions. And you hear the men say that when a woman is rich, they don't respect. When women have money, they don't respect. In many cases, it's true, because women are used to taking orders from men and being punished by men, being made second-class citizens. So when she also becomes independent, you cannot have her to become your housemaid. You cannot have her, if you refuse to give her money because she doesn't become your housemaid, she'll go out there and use her own money to buy whatever she wants. And then the man will say, my wife does not respect. Today, the women don't respect. It's because the men have kept them subservient for a long time, and they use taboos. In another culture, it's a taboo for a woman to eat an egg. A man, it's a woman to eat an egg. Even meat. When meat is prepared in a pot, the man will have to remove, the woman who has prepared the food will have to remove the meat and take it to the man. The man will pick his, and then what is left will be for the woman and the children. These are some cultures that we have developed and which, eventually end up making people as servants. It makes people to become servants. It makes the women to become servants. It makes the women to become slaves. Right? So to avoid all that, it's important for you, a lady, to have a trade. It's important for you to find something to do so that you will not be totally dependent on your husband. Number 3, the lady's expectation. Number 3, unreasonable expectation. Number 3, I expect my husband to protect me. My husband should be strong enough to protect me. If somebody wants to beat me up, my husband should come and defend me. In short, my husband should be a bodyguard. Well, haven't you ever seen some women beating their husbands? Haven't you ever seen macho women? You see, we have in our minds that, femininity is, the woman to have, weak muscles, beautiful body, everything smooth, round. And that's the image we want. That's what every man wants. But you see, it depends on what the woman is doing. If you go to certain parts of the world and you see the women who have to labor, they're doing hard labor. They have muscles, just like men. Muscles develop from exercise. As the more you exercise your muscles, the more the muscles grow. So it depends on what the woman is doing. When the lady is going to farm, the lady has to carry weights in the market. She's lifting up weights. You see that she'll be muscular. So it's not like, okay, a woman must not have muscles. A woman must not have, should not be muscular. There are muscular women and there are strong women who are able to beat their wives, to beat men. And it's not every man that is muscular. We have some men that are, you look at them and we say he looks feminine, which means that he hasn't got those macho muscles. So we label them as being feminine. They cannot fight physically. And as I've said, there are some women who beat their husbands. Spousal battery is not limited to just men beating women. Spousal battery also includes women who beat their husbands. So you are expecting your husband to be a bodyguard. If you expect your husband to, yes, your husband needs to protect you, but not necessarily with physical force. If you go and search for trouble and they are beating you up, you want your husband to come and fight. What if your husband cannot be that man that is beating you up, that woman that is beating you up. Your husband can't face him. Your husband hasn't got the muscles. Your husband hasn't got the muscles to beat that woman who is beating you up. You want to search for trouble. And that muscular woman is, plummeting you with blows. Your husband comes, he wants to save you, but he looks at the muscles of that woman. And if you attempt, he will beat him, both you and him. He will subject you to good beating. So, you expect your husband to be muscular, your husband to be a bodyguard, your husband to be able to beat up anyone who comes around it. No, that might be an unreasonable expectations. Of course, you can have a husband who is strong like that. Even if he's strong, do you think he can beat everyone? He may be strong, but there may be somebody stronger than him. You are in trouble with somebody, you went and you go and pick up a quarrel of somebody, and your husband comes and finds out the person is stronger than him. Of course, he may try to save you, but he himself might be in trouble. So, yes, men protect women. I agree. But if that is what you think, and that's how then it means that the choice of your husband is important. If that's a major requirement, a major demand, then look for a boxer. Look for a military or policeman who protect you wherever you go. If you are a quarrelsome woman, and you want a man who will always protect you in your quarrels, in your fights, then go and marry, a soldier man. Even a soldier will not follow you all the time to protect you, or a policeman. Okay, so these are some expectations that I've gathered from my research that women unreasonably expect from their husbands. Now, if these are the expectations, again, you really think that these are your expectations, tell the man before you get married to him. Tell the man you are going to be paying all the bills. You pay the bills, you pay the rent, you pay the electricity, you give food. Tell him, if he agrees, good. Tell the man that you are going to take care of me. My hair, my fingernails, my toenails, my dresses, my shoes, my face polish. You are going to take care of it. Tell him before you get married to him. If he agrees, good. But don't just keep quiet. Start sleeping with him, lobby, and then you get married and you sit down and say, this is what I expect you to do. No. It will bring conflict in the home. If you expect your husband to be your bodyguard, tell him before you get married. Discuss it. I expect you to be there. If anybody was going to beat me, no. Haven't you ever seen a snake coming to the home and the man running out and leaving the woman to face the snake? My mother was such a brave woman. She will never leave a snake alive. When she sees a snake, she will kill that snake. And we all used to complain, this woman, you are always looking for trouble. It's men that kill snakes. My mother, no, she will kill that snake. But most women fear snakes. They'll run. But there are some men also who fear snakes. So there's a snake has come into the house, and you expect the man to protect you. He'll fly out of the window first before you. Right? So tell him that this is what I expect from you. I expect that when a wild dog is coming at me, you protect me. When there's a snake in the house, you kill the snake. And listen to what he'll tell you. Of course, some men will do it. Some men also are cowards. They just can't do it. All right, let's go to gentlemen. Some unreasonable expectations from gentlemen. Oh, I want you to do all the house chores. The man always, especially in Africa, the men want their women to do all the house chores. It boils down again to gender role differentiations. So the house chores, cleaning the house, cooking, that's the woman. That's the work of the woman. Washing, ironing, that's the work of the woman. And many men go into marriage with that kind of expectation. I expect that my wife will clean, she'll scrub, she'll mop, she'll wash the clothes, she'll cook, she'll serve me, and you see, and do all other house chores. I am the man. We don't do that. You know, and for instance, in cultures like, you know, when you go to Ashanti and up to the north in Ghana, if you go to Cote d'Ivoire, the what we call the Jula in north, you know, even in Nigeria, northern parts of Nigeria, in many cultures in Nigeria, men don't pound fufu. It's women that pound fufu. Okay? Men don't sweep. It's women that do it. Again, that is what we call gender role differentiation. Now, so you are a man, you are courting a lady, you want to get married to a lady, and in your mind, you expect your woman, your prospective wife, your future wife, to be as your mother, because your father was going out to the farm, was going out to work, your mother was at home. And she was doing all the cleaning and all the cooking and washing. So that's the model that you have in your mind. You expect that your wife will be the same. Please talk to her before you get married to her. Discuss it. That's what I expect from you. What if your wife is educated? Your wife has a degree. Your wife has a trade. Your wife is intellectual. Your wife has a vision. She wants to do something. She has a skill. She has a talent that the society needs. She wants to go out there and work. She cannot spend all the day at home cleaning. Most men will say, oh, no, that's the work of a woman. No. Who says? Who says? Of course, you know, those cultures, as I said in one of my videos, culture is not only descriptive, culture is also prescriptive. Somebody prescribed that culture where women do all the house chores and men are out there. Where the man and the woman will both go to farm in the farming communities. Both the man and the woman go to farm in the morning, 6 o'clock, they leave home. The woman is carrying either a pot of water or something, you know, the food that they're going to eat. The man is carrying his gun on his shoulder. The woman and the children are in front, and the man is escorting them, you know, walking behind. They get to the farm. They all farm. They all work. They do the farm work. When it's midday, the woman comes and prepares food. The man is resting under the shade of a tree. And then after that, they all eat. They go back to work. In the evening, they close from work. The woman has to she has to carry a bundle of firewood because she needs the firewood at home. She's carrying that bundle of firewood on her head. The man is walking behind with his gun on the shoulder. They arrive at home. The woman quickly, you know, puts water on the fire, heats water, and takes it to the bathroom for the man to bathe. And then she goes straight away and begins to prepare supper. The man bathes and comes and comes to sit in a lazy chair and is waiting for the woman to finish cooking. The woman finishes cooking. She comes and serves the man. The man eats, washes his hands. The woman comes and takes the plates, goes and washes them. And then the woman, has to quickly bathe. The man is, quickly. He wants her in bed. The woman is tired, really tired. They go to bed. The man just satisfies himself, pum, 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 and goes to sleep. The woman is still lying there looking at it, sitting. She can't sleep. That kind of culture, men are used to it. We don't see anything wrong with it because we think that women are just like, they are there for us. And some people even quote the Bible and say women are helpmeet. So they are just there to help us. We are the main people, the main creatures of God. The women were just created to provide our needs. No. Some people go and take, I think, Proverbs 31, the ideal woman, how she gets up in the morning and she'll labor and she'll do this and say, the Bible says. And you look at that woman in Proverbs 30 or 31 there. That description is almost like a woman and a slave. But you see, people who are uninformed, who just take everything in the Bible and apply it today. I mean, when it's convenient for them, that's when it's convenient for them. They take everything and apply it. The Bible says. The writer of the book of Proverbs is writing and talking, describing an ideal woman according to the culture of the Israelites. The culture of the Israelites is not the culture that is practiced in your country, in your hometown, in the city where you live. It's different. Because the culture, the Hebrew culture, was a male hegemony. It was a culture of male, culture dominated by males. Even the women were hardly mentioned in their genealogy. The only time they mention a woman is maybe if she got herself in trouble or she did something bad. But it was only the males that were mentioned in the genealogy. The women were just like, like second-class citizens. That wasn't the will of God. That wasn't the will of God. And I always say that the story of Deborah in the Bible is a scandal. It was a scandal to the Jews. For a Jew to come to a woman to be judged, a woman to be a judge, Deborah, but God, God that did that for a purpose. Even the Jewish men were able to go to Deborah, first of all, as a judge. They went for her to judge, in arbitration. And two, if Deborah had to become a warrior to lead them to war, it's not there for nothing. It's there for a purpose. So, is that the male domination? Is it the will of God? No. The two are one flesh. If you go into the Bible, the two are one flesh. They become one. They share all things together, do all things together, love one another. And what is love? Love is giving. You go to Ephesians chapter 5, the Bible says, men, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself. He gave himself for the church. So if I'm a man and my wife is suffering, I see my wife suffering, she's tired, and I'm just relaxing, I can't help it. That's not love. That's not love. Don't just go and pick anything in the Old Testament and bam, come and put it there and say, the Bible says. There are certain cultural practices in the Old Testament that you cannot bring, to bear today in the modern world. If you do that, you will just be living in your own dream, a dream world. Because culture is dynamic. Culture is mobile. It moves. It changes. Right. So don't expect that your wife will do all the house chores. You can also mop. You can also clean. Here in the West, in the United States, and also in Europe, you eat and you cannot wash your plates. Oh, you your wife is going to work. You can. There's some men who can't even take after their wives have prepared the food and put it in the fridge. They can't take it and put it in the microwave. The woman will still have to take it and put it in the microwave and come and serve them after they eaten. They come and take the place to go and work. You have problem. If that's what you're thinking, you have a problem. Then of course tell your wife. That's what I'm saying. Tell your wife that, hey, before you get married, tell your fiancé that this is what I expect you to do. If she'll marry you, she'll marry you. If she agrees to marry you, okay. But that's an unreasonable expectation that can cause conflict in marriage, that can cause your marriage to break down. If you're working, your wife is working, why can't you, if she's contributing, as I've already said, she's also contributing to pay the rent, she's contributing the house chores, why can't you also help her in the kitchen? Why can't you also mop? Why can't you clean? It's unfair to think that, she will contribute financially, but then you cannot help in anything at home. That is not right. I've made it a personal habit to serve my wife on her day off, when she's off. Allow her to sleep. By the time she comes down, I prepare breakfast, serve the table. And she comes, she sits down, she eats, I take the place and go and wash, just to show appreciation. Because she's been doing, she's serving. But I just want you to know that I too can serve you. And God wants us to learn how to serve. We are not kings. And sometimes many men think that they are kings and women are slaves. No. That's not how God created us. He created the two to be one. The two are one. So you plan everything. You share the financial responsibilities. You also share the house chores. That's the way it is. That if you are thinking that you're going to get married because you don't want to do any house chores, you think that, as a man in my country, in my culture, men don't do house chores, then please tell your wife before you get married to her. Tell her that as we're going to get married, I want you to understand that you will do all the house chores, and tell her what you hope to do, what you wish to do. Discuss it before you get into marriage. Find a marriage counselor to help both of you agree. Number 2, for gentlemen, unreasonable expectation. I expect my wife to be the babysitter and the nurse for my children. Most men, okay, let me not say most, many men do not want to have anything done with babysitting. You see, many men even fear to handle babies. Their muscular hands, they fear that if they handle babies, they may hurt them. They will fall from their hands. So we think that the woman has a feminine body and she's the one who can handle. Yes, she can, but we can also learn. Some men don't even get close to their babies. Newborn babies, no. When the children are growing, no, the man is always out there. All that he comes and shouts and beat them. No, you don't even have a personal touch, bodily touch with your child, like carry your child. When the children are growing, you have not that personal touch of hugging them, whether they are girls or boys, hugging them, getting them to hug you. Some men do it, a lot of men do it. But there's some men, it's like a taboo, no-go area. But you see, to think that the woman is the nurse, she must be the nurse, she must be the babysitter, and that you cannot participate in that, you cannot change diapers, It's nasty for you. You know, how can a man be changing diapers? That's the work of the one. Who says? Both of you gave birth to the child. It's the responsibility of both of you to take care of the child. And taking care of the child includes changing diapers, bathing the child. Even if the man cannot bathe the child when it's very small, because that's very delicate, at least when the child begins to walk, you can change diapers. You can bathe the child until they grow, until they can begin to bathe themselves. You can do it, right? So if you, in your mind, you think that taking care of children is the responsibility of women, then tell your wife, tell your future wife that this is what I think. So when we get married, I'm not going to get involved in the, childcare. You have to do that. Tell her before you get married to her. That is why we have many irresponsible parents. You see, they don't start it when the child is young. So as the child is growing, the role of the father is absent. It's only the mother. And many mothers are indulgent because they carry the child for 9 months in their wombs and they gave birth to the child, and they are, most of the time, they are more compassionate, they are softer. It needs a man to be firm also and to say no to a child. I'm not saying all women are indulgent. There are some women who are firmer, who are very strict, and we have men also who are more indulgent than women. Okay, there are exceptions. But we need both man and woman to take care of a child, to bring up a child. And when one of the parties is absent, it shows in the life of the child. I had to leave, Ghana and come to the US. First of all, I had to leave because of my apostolic work. I had to leave home, going to the nations in Togo, in Ivory Coast, in Nigeria, in Senegal, all along the world, in Asia, in Europe, and I was always gone most of the time. When the children were very young, I was there. I was spending a lot of time with them. But as I began my apostolic work, I was going around everywhere. And I had to come to the US and settle before bringing them. Now, when the children came, I had a shock of my life. There were some things that I expected that were not there. At the beginning, the shock was so much that I was always shouting, and the children observed. They were grown now. I said, "Daddy, you're always shouting at us." And I came back to my senses and I said, "Yeah, there's a gap. There's a gap. I should have been there to provide certain things, because you can't give what you don't have. My wife cannot give them what she doesn't have. She gave them what she has, and I, as a man, had to give them what I have. I wasn't there. So what did I do? I had to make up. I had to adopt another style. I had to, realize that I need to provide that which was absent. So I had to begin gradually, intentionally, deliberately to provide that which was missing. But see, sometimes we men, we are living together with our wives and children, and we are absent. We are absent from the lives of the children. The children will go with a deficiency. There will be a deficiency because what the man should have provided is absent. It will affect them in their lives. So women are not, the only ones who are supposed to do babysitting and nursing. Men, we also have to do it. At any rate, if that's what your expectation is, then tell your future wife before you get married to her. Unreasonable expectation number 3 for men is, I want my wife to remain beautiful as I first met her. Men want to continue to see the firm breast of the lady, the beautiful face, the beautiful body, the rounds, the round edges, the shape. In Ghana, we say bucket shape, guitar shape. We have names for all kinds of shapes of women. Nobody talks about the shape of a man, but we are careful about the shape of a woman. So she's young, she's beautiful, the breasts are firm, the face, the eyes, and everything is so beautiful. That's what you're looking at. Now, you expect that she will remain like that after 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years? No. A woman is never the same after she gives birth. After the first child, she's never the same. Second child, third child, physiognomical changes begin to occur in her. And that's where many men begin to look elsewhere, because the breasts are no longer firm. Like in Ghana, we say, Bobby sleep. And say, Bobby sleep, or Bobby die. The breasts are no longer firm like unripe mangoes that you used to have. They are now flat. So it's no longer nice. It doesn't feel good. You now go out to look for a lady, a younger lady with firmer breasts. That's what men do. Don't look at me as if, I'm saying something. That's what men do. You do that. That's why men go and they bring teenage girls. Even here in America, there's a problem, going on now. Revelations are coming about big politicians who go somewhere, in South America, and they bring in teenage girls with firm breasts and nice bodies, and old men and, grown-up men and women who have wives and children at home spend time having sex with these girls. That's that kind of desire, that greed of men. Because their wives are no longer the same as they saw them. Of course, they will change. The whole process of, conception and, giving birth to children is so tedious. It affects their bodies. So don't expect your wife to be the same after giving birth, 2 children, 3 children. Don't expect her breast to still be firm for you. The breast will become flat because the children have fed on. That's what she has used, the mammals, that's what she's used to feed the children for all these years. It cannot remain the same. You are aging, and you yourself, you are aging. And what's even funny is that the men will get old. We have wrinkles all of our faces. Even sexually, we are getting weaker, and yet we still want the women to be, to be fresh and young. It's unfair. All right. So these are certain unreasonable expectations that often bring conflict in the home. And what I'm telling you in this video is that you need to discuss your expectations. Do that, your fiancé, the person that you want to get married to. Let him take a paper. You, the woman, you take a paper. Write down 5 things you expect from her. 5 things you expect from him. Sit down and analyze. That's what I do with the people I counsel before the premarital counseling. That's what I do. After they've written the expectations, I sit down with them. Okay, expectation number 1. This is what your future wife, expects from you. This is what your future husband expects from you. And right there, you say, oh, how can you expect that? But you see, if I didn't make them to write that, they will all have this in their minds. They're already sleeping together. They're enjoying together. They're not yet married. And then they get married and they begin to make demands that are unreasonable from their spouses. So it's important that before you get married, you spend time, write your expectations. This is what I expect you to do as my future husband. This is what I expect you to do as my future wife. And sit down and talk. The man will tell you that this thing you are asking for me is unreasonable. I can't do it. Why can't you do it? Talk. Can you come down? Can you come down? Begin. The woman will tell the man, no, what you're expecting from me is not possible. He says, that's what I expect. No, but it's not fair. It's not fair. Sit down and talk. Can you calm down? Talk and agree. And sincerely pray. Talk and agree and come to the Bible. The two must be one. Women, submit yourself to your husband. Wives, love your wife. Husbands, love your wife. Wives, submit yourself to your own husbands. Husbands, love your wife. You are one flesh. Love is giving who you are and what you have for the ultimate good of the other. Submission is just surrendering to the person. So where there's love, there is surrender. Sometimes the men don't love and they insist on the woman surrendering. It's not possible. Sometimes the women are not surrendering and they insist on the man loving. It's not possible. Right? So folks, these are a few things for you to think about. As you can see, I've given on the you can read on the information on the YouTube. The number is there. You can call. The email is there. You can dial it. Or you can send an email when you have questions. If you have questions or you have comments, or you want to invite me for a seminar on marriage counseling, or you want me to personally counsel you and your fiancé, you can call me. I will have time for you, and I will take you through the counseling. So God bless you. I'll see you in the next video. I'll see you, and we'll continue our discussion on building a successful marriage. I want you to actually, after watching this video, if you think it's good, if you find it good, I want you to send it to your friend. Send the video to your friend and let them also learn from what I'm teaching now. God bless you. Amen.